Alright. Alright. What's up, everyone? It's Ruby here, bringing you guys live from the RTV. I'm host Rue-Bid-EE-Um, and today we are going to be playing something completely different. You guys didn't even know this was coming because I never said anything. And you guys probably don't even know about it, so that's okay. So, yes, we are going to be playing a little bit of a different game. So, let's see what we have here. So, this game is called Graveyard Girls. And I have no idea what it really is. I have no idea. I have never. I saw it. It was free. I think it's free on Steam. So I was like, this seems interesting. Let's do it. It seems like kind of like, you know, the sort of the Doki Doki literature type of thing where it's like the visual novel kind of thing. So that's what I'm expecting, but I have no idea. It's a Halloween game. It's like a dating thing. So it's like, why not? Let's change up the pace a little bit. So that's what we are going to do. Let's see. Again, I have never heard of this game. I don't know what to expect. Okay, options. Full screen. I definitely want to do full screen. So yeah, it's very much like Doki Doki Literature Club. I don't know if it's made by the same people or something. But I'm gonna turn down the music and up the sound of the voice. This voice? Ooh. Oh my god. I don't know who this is. Let me see. Store page. Who's this made by? Delphinium Interactive. I have never heard of them. Have no clue. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. So let's just start it and see what it's like. Definitely reminds me of like it gives me that Doki Doki Literature Club vibe, although I'm pretty sure. Okay. Graveyard Girl depicts the complicated and traumatic aftermath of losing a parent during young adulthood. This topic has been addressed as authentically as possible. If you're struggling with grief, you may not have a safe experience playing this game. Content warning. Ooh. Content warning. Graveyard Girls contains strong language, mature humor, drug abuse, self-harm, mentions of suicide, alcohol use, and sexual themes. This game is intended for players age 18 years or older. Viewer discretion is advised, so do take that into account when also viewing this stream, because we're going to be playing it. Would you like to continue? Yes, I wish to continue. Choices in this game unlock scribbles. These are available in the memory section of the main menu after unlocking. The leaves crunch below my feet as I make my way through the cemetery, counting each row that I pass. A frigid gust of wind catches my hair and blows it into my vision. I tuck it away carefully. I can't help but remember how he used to tease me about finding my long hair everywhere. He'd always tell me how beautiful it was. Once I find the section I've been searching for, I let out a sigh, although it's not of relief. The cold stone inscription stares back at me, expressionless. Jason Gray, beloved husband and father. As I read the name quietly to myself, I feel like he's greeted me in his own way. What am I supposed to say? Nothing seems quite right, so I settle on the simplest of phrases. Hi, Dad. I made it. I know it's been a while. In truth, it's been too long. The last time I visited, he didn't even have a headstone. I'm sorry. I should have come sooner. What am I thinking? Coming here isn't going to help. As if talking to a polished rock is going to bring out any kind of closure. I turn to leave, but there's a magnetism to this place. As if he'd reach for my hand and said, "You're leaving? Already?" I gaze back at his headstone and whisper to myself, "You want me to stay? Fine." My mom always insisted that I be careful not to stand on graves when visiting cemeteries. But that was out of respect for strangers. This is my dad's resting place. I'd sat on his lap 1,000 times before. What would he care if I rested on his grave now? I know he wouldn't have minded. Without another moment of hesitation, I brush away the leaves and sit back against his headstone. I lay my notebook across my thighs and settle into place. If I'm staying for a while, I'm getting comfy. I glimpse towards the late afternoon and pause to admire the golden glow of autumn. He loved this time of year. Well, I'm guessing not much has changed with you. He'd appreciate that sarcasm. Dark humor is his thing. That's probably where I got it from. I'll just sit here and talk to myself like a crazy person. I take a deep breath in, but the crisp air won't soothe the ache in my lungs. I need to say something. Anything. I guess It's time to tell you what's been going on. You might not love what I have to say next. You'd probably be angry. At least, I think you would have been. I'll try to keep it short. So, you died, and no one saw it coming. One day you were gone. I don't think I've processed that yet, to be honest. Mom couldn't handle the pain, so she shut down. I guess that was her coping mechanism. She spent months crying over you. She barely slept or ate. I didn't expect this to be easy, but I thought I'd still have my mom to lean on. I convinced myself that I was lucky to have her, regardless of how she was handling this. That's what I kept telling myself on the worst days. We weren't alone either. People tried to support her. Aunt Cora wanted her to visit a therapist. But Mom locked the doors and ignored her phone. I tried to talk with her too, but it was like she couldn't hear me. She was a shell of a person, shutting everything and everyone out. I thought she needed time, but one morning she packed her clothes and bought a plane ticket. There was no warning. She said she'd be back in 2 weeks, that she needed a vacation. Mom left. And it sucks to say, but I knew she wouldn't come back. I've seen her a handful of times since. One of those times was to sell the house that you built. I still drive past it. I like to pretend that you'll be waiting on the porch, having a cigarette or watering the plants. It's soothing in a strange way, like opening my favorite chapter in an old book, pretending I don't know the ending. I paused to catch my breath. Mom's in an apartment on the other side of the country with her new boyfriend, but I stayed here. She helped with my tuition and rent, but she's gone. Honestly, if you saw her today, you wouldn't recognize her. I feel like I never really knew her. She left me behind, and I think it's because I remind her of you. There's a hole in my heart where my mom used to be, and I hated her. A part of me still does. I used to think it would be easier if she disappeared. Isn't that horrible? Fuck me. Saying it is worse than feeling it quietly. Daddy, I spent so much time hating her. She took up all the space that I had left in my heart. But the worst part of it all is that I think I forgot to deal with losing you. That's why I'm here today. Because the person I need to talk to most in this world isn't part of this world. I look skyward as I blink back welling tears. Huh? Encore used to tell me to think of you smiling down on me. I keep thinking how sweet she is to say that, but when I picture you, you're looking up. I know that sounds dark, but seriously, what's left of you is 6 feet below me. Core wanted me to remember you in a happy way. I get that. I'm just too literal. I search for what to say next and wonder what he'd say if he were here. The truth is, I don't know what you'd feel. I didn't get a chance to know you better. Cora's words echo in my mind. Dad's smile. What was your smile like anyway? And why didn't I try harder to preserve it in the first place? Frustration that I can't swallow begins to form in my throat. I stay silent, afraid that my voice will break and the rest of me will follow. I do my best to reanimate my dad's grin in my mind's eyes, but there's nothing. A stray leaf dances in front of me before heading west with the wind. I push away the distraction and close my eyes, forcing myself to focus on his lost expressions. I try to revisit each part of him. His amber eyes, his perfectly straight nose, the way his eyebrows furrowed when I asked too many questions. Slowly I could piece him together, but he wouldn't assemble. Even his voice was a dulling whisper. Why couldn't I remember how he spoke? Oh. One exact phrase plucked from my memory would be enough to hear him, but the words remain unspoken. I couldn't even remember how he sounded when he said, "I love you." A familiar pain begins to claw at my chest when I'm buried under a mountain of pills earlier this morning. No, not now. I inhale a ragged breath and shove the shadows away. It's something I've practiced for a while now. Keep talking. Distract yourself. You know, it's good that I visited before the snow. Winter is nearly here. You might not realize it, but today is your favorite holiday. It's also the day you died 4 years ago. Maybe you knew that part though. He suffered long enough to know he was going to die, I think. That was the detail that made me vomit when they told me about his accident. He was awake when the ambulance arrived. Why wasn't it faster? In my constant reimaginings, he'd always be unconscious. I couldn't bring myself to picture any details. I didn't want to remember how he suffered, but it was a part of his story. It was a part of his life. His suffering and vices had even drifted into my dreams lately. The anniversary always amplified them. I tried smoking and drinking, but just to see what you thought was so great about it. Must have got the genes from you, because they're my favorite crutch now. I don't know why you tortured yourself with them. At least I had my reasons. But I did know. My mom stopped hiding their broken marriage once his casket was closed. I knew things were rough, but I didn't realize how destructive they were. Lately, I've started to question if my mother was the true monster in his life. It's funny. I spent so much time asking myself why you tortured yourself with shitty choices. Oh my god. When I mirror them daily. And that's why I'm here too. Because I'm your daughter. I came here to suffer, not to heal. This pain doesn't mend like a paper cut, Dad. It festers like a gunshot. I'm so frustrated because now I know who Mom is. She's shown the world her true colors. You deserved better. Why can I picture her so perfectly? It's not fair. I bite my lip and push my mother's face from my memory. This isn't about her. Don't let her steal this moment. Anyway, I've been writing. Quite a lot, actually. Almost daily. It's therapeutic, I think. Getting my feelings on paper helps me feel detached from them. They're a little less heavy when I read them aloud. When I write, I can push the darkest thoughts I'm having away, even momentarily. The best part is I'm not afraid that someone's listening and analyzing. It feels safer than grief counseling I attended. I don't think the professionals were judging me, but when they listened, I felt them processing my words and misunderstanding. Just because I write dark things doesn't mean I'm a dark person. I'm reaching for brighter thoughts and feelings when I let those words go. My new therapist understands. She's different than the others. It finally feels important that I go to my appointments. I don't look forward to them because they're a lot. But when I leave, I feel lighter. Like I've lessened the load on my shoulders. I get scared sometimes because each day is a wild card. I hate feeling like everything is out of my control. I'm I'm terrified that therapy can't save me. I don't want to bottle things up again. Holding that shit in was the worst idea I've ever had. Fuck it. Dad, I'm done pretending. I drink. I smoke. I popped some pills before I left the house. I'll do anything to be numb. And I'm afraid that scribbling my feelings isn't enough. I thought the pain was dulling, but it's worse than the day you died. I know you're not here today, but I keep picturing it every morning, and every tomorrow, and each day, that image grows a little dimmer. Because between losing you and Mom taking off, I've been trying so hard to feel empty. Being happy felt out of reach, so feeling less became the best option. Turns out, being destructive couldn't save me. You can't hear drowning girls cry. I wipe away the overflowing stream of tears with my sleeve and shut my eyes. Practice those deep breaths. It's okay to be upset. I inhale and exhale. But the breaths are intruded on. The earth sways below as a sensation floating overcomes me. Almost like sitting on a boat. Uh-oh. Why does it feel like the world's drifting? It's probably those stupid allergy pills. A twinge of concern washes over me as I try to imagine the state of my liver, but I excuse the thoughts quickly. It's not like I eat vegetables or drink enough water anyway. Coffee, bread, and cheese are my food groups. It was dumb to take more pills before leaving. I know it's a bad day when they can't keep me from crying. I try to focus on the positives. At least I was doing better. Taking them as prescribed was a challenge, but I'd managed to for quite a while. Today was a hiccup. They're usually a subtle but helpful bandage. I'm an idiot for thinking they'd handle this visit. Subtle can't cover this. How could I ever expect this visit to be easy? It was naive of me. Today is always going to fucking sting. The words I've whispered under my breath 1,000 times echo out once more again. You're never going to be okay. I sit with the words. You're never going to be okay. Never, ever, again. I tell myself that I need to get those words out of my system. But I know they're bound to sit on the tip of my tongue again, waiting for escape. With my eyes still shut, I sigh and let my thoughts with a vertigo. Maybe those pills weren't so useless. A chilly gust lifts fluttering leaves down away from the earth, and I can hear them dancing through the air. I begin to imagine that I'm flying with them, twirling away from this place, away from my body. Hello? A voice? I must have imagined it. Are you okay? What the? I open my eyes and stumble upward in a daze. I hurriedly dust off my clothes before looking toward the stranger behind the question. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I'm taken back by her presence. I didn't expect to see anyone here. No, it's fine. You didn't scare me. My throbbing heart tells a different story. I suddenly feel thankful that I'm not the blushing type. Are you alright? I'm fine. Why? She gestures towards my dad's headstone and suddenly raises her eyebrows. I think you were sleeping on someone's grave. Did you, know them? I laugh half-heartedly. It's my dad. He wouldn't mind. Oh! The girl's posture stiffens noticeably, and I remind myself to tone back the abruptness. You're not talking to a ghost anymore. Act normal. Let's ask her name. What's your name? I'm Lucia. And you are? I quickly realize that I should have introduced myself first. It would have been the polite thing to do. Why do I always feel so disjointed when I meet new people? It's embarrassing. My name's Elle, and it's nice to meet you. That sounded more robotic than genuine, but at least I'm trying. So, Elle, do you mind if I ask why you're napping in a cemetery? Well, it wasn't on the agenda. I took allergy medication and it hit a little harder than I anticipated. Oof, I've been there. What are you allergic to? I scramble to come up with a good excuse. Not too sure. Had some hives and figured it was best to take a pill. Or 4. I get it. Sometimes cats make my eyes itchy. I pet them anyway. They're worth it. I can't help but smile at Lucia. She seems sweet. So, you were visiting someone too? Lucia's smile falters. Nice job. You're always good at brightening the room. Yes. My sister passed away. Her name was Kate. She died last week. I can't help but regurgitate the sentence that everyone had spoken to me in the past. I'm sorry. Lucia stiffens her feet uncomfortably and stares at the ground. I remember standing like that too, unsure of how to respond. Sorry. That wasn't the right thing to say. I don't mind. It's what everyone says. I know. I've been there. My dad died 4 years ago, so memories are still pretty fresh. Lucia's eyes widen fearfully. They are? I struggle to backtrack, jumping to console her as best as I can. Not in the same way that you're feeling. I mean, it's his anniversary today, so it feels closer than usual. Lucia's shoulders drop slightly as her gaze softens. That's understandable. I get it now. I'll be visiting Kate's day today. I'll be visiting Kate on Kate's day too. Does visiting get easier? Molotov mixture of disgust and embarrassment builds my chest. What am I supposed to say? We're gonna tell her the truth. I decide the truth is my best option. I don't know. Her eyebrows furrow slightly, a hint of confusion glimmers in her gaze. What do you... I mean, I haven't been here since he was... I trail off, the words too heavy to speak. I haven't talked about his burial before. The smooth and polished shine of his cherry wood casket reveals me. No, don't cry in front of her. Don't scare her. I shake my head and try to find my way back to the present. Sorry. Lucia nods in silent understanding. We pause for a moment, both not quite sure how to continue. Lucia takes a step closer, trying her best to mend the gap between us. Al, you don't have to explain. I'm sorry that I prodded. I expect the knots in my stomach to twist and tighten, but they nearly surrender as Lucia looks at me apologetically. Instead of burying the words and leaving them to wait for my notebook, I speak up. I want to explain. Lucia smiles softly, with a hint of encouragement. When it came to visiting, I couldn't do it. It never felt right. My memories of him aren't in this spot. They're everywhere, but here. I tried once, but it wasn't long after he'd passed. He was full of life, so his graveside, it wasn't a place I could reflect on him. Until today? Yeah. Today I wanted to try again. I'm not exactly sure why. I guess I hoped it would help with closure. Lucia looks towards my father's headstone. Those are beautiful flowers. I like the arrangement you chose. And bite at my lip unconsciously. Thanks, but I didn't leave those. I think his sister was here earlier. Cora is big on flowers. Oh, well, she has good taste. Sorry to focus on the flowers. I can't help myself. I'm a florist. That's interesting. The anxious realization that I never thought to bring my dad flowers hits me. It never even crossed my mind. Does Lucia think it's rude that I didn't? Maybe you could suggest a bouquet for my dad? I should have brought one. Hey, if it's not your thing, don't feel like you have to buy them. Lucia smiles carefully as she reads me like an open book. I do have an idea, though. If you want to leave him something meaningful, please. I'd love to. I expect not to mean that, but for some reason I want to. Wait here, please. I nod as Lucia walks past me. I flip through my notes instead of staring after her, doing my best not to act entranced. Where did this girl come from? She's so sweet. The crunch of fallen leaves under footsteps carries from the distance. Linnea stands closer than before. I brought you this. She reaches into her bag and extends her hand. A single icy blue rose sits between her thumb and her forefinger. I reach forward, but stop in hesitation. Where did you get it? It was left at Kate's grave. A gasp escapes my lips, and I shake my head. I can't take that. No, don't worry. Kate would want your father to have a flower. She doesn't like roses anyway. Lucia trails off, realizing what she said. I mean, didn't. Kate didn't like roses. I try my best to reassure her with my gaze as I accept the rose. Thank you. That present tense thing it goes away. Don't feel like you need to jump to correct yourself. Time will take care of it. Lucia nods silently in response. As I kneel against the cold earth to place the blue rose on my dad's grave, I realize how fresh the flower is. The edges of the petals have barely begun to wilt. I feel Lucia's eyes on my back. Before turning toward her, I ask the question on my mind. Lucia? When was Kate's funeral? Yesterday. As I face Lucia, I want to ask her why she's here today. I want to know how she's doing. I want to hug her. I want to make her feel less alone, even if for a fraction of a second. I want to give her what I never had. A moment of silence passes us by. But before I can ask Lucia to let me in, she breaks the silence herself. Are you still tired? I massage the back of my neck absent-mindedly and laugh a little. Yeah. Did the dark circles give me away? Lucia giggles softly. No, your eyes are fine. That was kind of her to lie about. I've looked in the mirror before. I can't believe I fell asleep. It's a little embarrassing. Don't worry about it. Do you drink coffee? Yes. Let me buy you one. You don't have to sleep. You don't want to sleep through Halloween. There's a great coffee shop in the Old Town district. Old Town? Isn't that a little far? Did you drive here? No, I walked. Well, I don't mind giving you a ride. Let me take you. It's my treat. Unless you have other plans. I don't, but part of me remains hesitant. Getting into cars with strangers isn't something my parents encourage, that's for sure. She seems harmless enough, but I don't actually know her. Plus, today is not exactly an easy day for me. Lucia quietly reads over my rigid stance. Without explanation, she grins and starts to giggle at me. Did you want to take a selfie together? What? You can send it to a friend. That way, if you go missing, they'd know exactly who to look for. I smile back at her and suddenly shake my head. Nah, it's fine. I stick out my thumb in a hitchhiking fashion. I love the thrill of getting into a stranger's car. Lucia playfully rolls her eyes before winking at me. Buckle up then. We're going for a ride? Oh. We head towards the road, walking past rows of headstones side by side. I did not imagine I'd be leaving here with someone. The feeling of walking close to her is strangely comforting. I guess I always expected to be here alone. Even if I had a special person in my life, I wouldn't ask them to come here. It's hard to understand what it's like to visit this place unless you're missing someone. The drive to the coffee shop is uneventful. Lucia's car has heated seats, so I try my best to subtly warm my hands under my legs. She doesn't seem to notice and stays focused on driving. We chat about the weather mostly. Once we reach the Old Town district, Lucia carefully navigates toward the last parking spot on the street. This is the place. I haven't been here in forever. After stepping out of the car, Lucia tugs gently on my sweater and guides me to the crosswalk. She's practically bouncing toward the cafe. Once we cross, we find ourselves at the front door. Despite the chilly weather, they still offer outdoor seating. A waitress steps outside to greet us with a smile on her face. Welcome! If you'd like to take a seat, I'll be right with you. As the waitress steps inside, I move to follow her. Lucia pulls at my sleeve again with an expectant grin. Let's sit out here. It's more private. As we take our seats outside the cafe, I can feel the energy of the cemetery fall away. Our table is vibrantly decorated with Halloween-themed trinkets and candies. This is so cute. I can't argue with that. She definitely chose a festive spot. The street is bustling with ghouls and witches. Even our waitress is dressed up. Happy Halloween! Can I interest you in one of our spooky specials? Lucia's eyes light up immediately. Oh, what are they? The waitress grins, realizing she's hooked Lucia in. Today we have our pumpkin cheesecake paired with any of our fall specialty drinks for $8.99. If you're craving something warm and hearty, we also have butternut squash soup with one of our fresh baked biscuits. Lucia squeals with delight. I love cheesecake. Can I get the pumpkin cheesecake with a pumpkin spice latte, please? I guess she likes pumpkins. After jotting down Lucia's order, the waitress' gaze darts towards me. What would you like? The pumpkin cheesecake sounds fine. And a drink? I rack my brain for anything other than the pumpkin spice latte. Sorry, what are your other fall drinks? Maple pecan and chai lattes. Lucia raises her eyebrows and whispers exaggeratedly across the table. Psst, the maple pecan sounds super yummy. I can't help but chuckle. Okay, I'll get the maple pecan latte. The waitress nods and leaves with a smile. Barely a minute passes before our waitress rushes back to the table. Here are your lattes. Thank you so much. Oh, thanks so much. I'll bring your cheesecake over as soon as it's ready. Lucia peers over at me with a curious glimmer in her eyes. Do you think it's too hot to sip? I'm sure it's fine. I lift the cup to my lips and decide to take a swig. Yikes! My throat burns as I try desperately to clear it inconspicuously. I do my best not to sputter on Lucia as I reply. It's quite warm still. She giggles softly. You didn't mean... You didn't need to be my lab rat. Just trying to be helpful. Lucia raises her cup and takes a careful sip. It's not that hot. Were you trying to scare me? Well, it is Halloween. How did she not scald herself? She had no sense of temperature. Maybe that's why she chose outdoor seating on this chilly day. Or maybe she's a vampire. Do you like celebrating Halloween? Is she... Wait, I think she might actually be a vampire. I mean, she doesn't want to go inside, and she has no sense of temperature. I falter, unsure of how to explain myself. I used to. Lucia realizes what she's asked. Sorry. I can't believe I forgot that today is... No apology necessary. I try my best to steer conversation with a lighter tone in my voice. I do like Halloween, by the way. I just haven't done much other than hand out candy for a few years. The kids in my neighborhood love my place. They know I always have tons of treats. You only hand out candy? You haven't dressed up? No, but I did like that part when I was in high school. Great! I'm going to a costume party tonight. What do you think? Spooky or sexy? Huh? What kind of costume should I go with? I have a closet full of options. Sexy. Sexy costumes are fun. She winks at me playfully. How did I know you'd suggest that? Finding back a goofy grin, I bite my cheek hard. A flash of pain dances across my face. Elle? Are you okay? I'm fine. I was thinking about what costumes you might have. Why would you say that? I somehow managed to embarrass myself more than I feared. Lucia politely ignores the comment instead of teasing me. So, did you want to come to the party with me? I was going to go a little... Lucia's words drift away from me. My limbs stiffen, as if I'd suddenly been plunged into icy water. The party at home. That night. He went out that night. I was the one who called him. I bite my cheek, desperate to escape the coursing river of guilt. No. No freaking out. Not now. I dig my nails into my palm, trying to snap myself away from the echo of that Halloween party. Okay. Focus and breathe. The idea of rejecting Lucia hurts. But I can't go with her. The voice of my therapist saying, "Trauma trigger," rings in my ears. I promised that I'd stop being self-destructive, and I can't risk Lucia seeing me like that. I can't. Not tonight, at least. The ghost of that distant night disappears as quickly as it arrived. I'm at the cafe with Lucia. I'm okay. Lucia grips the handle of her mug and spins it absentmindedly. I thought you didn't have plans. I have a date later. Sorry, that I didn't mention it. A frown escapes Lucia. A date? I nod. Yep, with a bowl of leftover candy. Leftover? Oh! Relief washes over her. If it isn't already... if it isn't obvious already, I'm painfully single. It's not obvious? Really? Of course it isn't. You're so pretty. For a second, my heart skips a beat. Wow. I realize how rude I might have been coming off. I mean, thanks. We break eye contact and struggle to continue. That's one way to snap back into reality. Come on, keep it up. So, what's it like being a florist? My ploy to redirect the conversation is painfully evident. Lucia doesn't brush me off, luckily. My family has owned a flower shop for 3 generations, so it's pretty natural for me. What about you? Are you a student? No, I graduated from a tourism and hospitality group program. I work at the Spring Dream Suites. That sounds interesting. It's really not. My job is to fend off bad reviews, basically. Lucia laughs, but I'm afraid it's forced. Do you like to travel? I haven't really traveled since I was a kid. But if I ever had the chance, I'd love to work at a resort. Just to see what it's like to live in a warm climate. Count me in. I'm always down to book a room at an island resort. I promise I'll leave a good review too. If you get me a discount. I can't help but giggle. I'll do my best. I'm curious about your job. When did you join your family's business? They started training me when I was young. I spent plenty of summers playing in my grandmother's garden. She started the business with my grandfather. It's beautiful. They have a huge property out in the countryside. I loved putting together bouquets for my mom when I was little. My grandma would help me pick them, so they always turned out perfectly. She called it my training. Her plan worked though. I'm running the business with my parents now. My grandparents are retired, but they still help out when we're shorthanded. Lucia's gaze seems to intensify. It feels like she's looking right through me. Is she alright? She notices my concern and smiles reassuringly. Sorry, I was thinking about those summers as a kid. I could still picture that day that my sister made a flower crown out of daisies. She put it on my head and called me a princess. It was just a game to Kate, but she clears her throat. That was the day I fell in love with flowers. I'll never forget it. Lucia, that was a vulnerable moment. Her hands trembled ever so lightly. She must have been nervous to share that memory with me. That's so special. Hello, ladies! Here's your pumpkin cheesecake. Before I can finish, our waitress interrupts. We wanted to set down our plate. We wait for her to set down our plates and cutlery. Actually, I want to save. Can I get you anything else? I think we're good. Thanks. The waitress steps away and heads inside. I fiddle with my notebook and flip through the pages while Lucia sips her drink. Elle, can I ask you a question? I smile, eager to start chatting again. Go ahead. Lucia motions towards the table. What's that? Oh. It's my notebook. Like a diary? Sort of. It has a bit of everything. Unfinished thoughts, sketches, and some journaling. I don't usually carry it around. You brought it for your dad? Maybe it was obvious, or maybe she understands me. Yeah, I did. I thought about reading to him, but I felt weird once I got there. I talked to him instead, which wasn't much easier. I think I know how you feel. I tried talking to Kate today, but I couldn't. I left her voicemails instead. It felt closer to how things were. Almost normal. It's subtle, but Lucia's voice breaks as she trails off. Instinctively, I reach across the table. For a fraction of a second, my hand rests atop her own. I pull away swiftly, fearing that I've invaded her space. Sorry. She stares at her lap, unmoving. Thank you. That was nice. For a moment, I envisioned the horrible Lucia is hovering on the edge of unfiltered, unprocessed, raw grief. One day she's going to realize that in the infinite possibilities of this universe, she will never see her sister again. The realization that there will never be another moment shared with Kate. The end of making memories and the beginning of their blurring. It seems clear, but it never is. Elle? Yeah? Lucia bites at her lip and stares into her cup. I have questions that I'm afraid to ask anyone else. I don't want to be weird or rude, but you seem to understand loss better than anyone I've spoken to. I struggle to give her a good answer. Would I make her feel worse? I decide to warn her. Honestly, I'm not the best person to get grief counseling from. I need someone to be real with me. I'm tired of being brushed off. Suddenly the circles of the chairs in the church basement revisit me. I felt brushed off too. It was so discouraging. Alright. What do people say to you? I heard that the stages can take years, but that the pain won't last forever. Is it true? The stages? Honestly, I forgot how much people like to focus on that idea. My grief wasn't in stages, at least not in the way that I expected. She gives me a quizzical stare through glassy eyes. Emotions aren't dominoes. They don't fall in a logical pattern. My grief falls like sudden rain on a cloudless day. I can wake up in acceptance and go to bed angry or bargaining. Lucia's eyes brighten. That was poetic. I ignore her praise. Look, I know that your sister is always on your mind right now. But there is going to be a day where you forget about Kate for longer than you ever thought possible. I forget about my dad all the time. Lucia seems startled by my admission. There are moments when his memory doesn't stir any pain or tears. Because you're healing? No. I feel ashamed or angry, even dull at times. It always feels wrong. You'll probably be disgusted with yourself for pulling it together and burying how deeply you miss her. I felt punished for trying to function. Going to work, visiting friends, even getting dressed. Putting away the pain is harder than carrying it. I just want you to know that there's no winning. There's no easy way to process this loss. She blinks carefully, intentionally, as if she's truly absorbing the information. You know, Lucia stops to clear her throat before continuing. I didn't plan to go back to Kate's grave today. You didn't? No. I was driving around mindlessly, and it sort of dawned on me that wandering in a daze was disrespectful to her memory. She would have done anything for a clear moment. I'm not sure that I follow. I don't want to demand answers, but I can't nod and pretend it makes sense like that Greek group did. I'm not here to tell her that she's young and that it'll make it easier. That was wrong of them. Anecdotes and audacious aren't solutions. I want to listen and do my best to understand her. But Lucia doesn't move to explain herself. If you're not ready to tell, no, it's fine. I'm sorry. I need a moment. I nod and wait for her to gather her thoughts. She takes a deep breath and begins. Kate suffered from chronic health problems and taught me what a privilege a pain-free day is. She tried her best to live a normal life, but her health had a habit of stealing happy moments from her. One morning, Kate didn't get up for breakfast. My mom went upstairs to check on her. They had plans to go shopping, so it was odd that she hadn't started getting ready. When my mom walked in, Kate wouldn't wake up. She was taking prescription drugs for her illness, and she aspirated in her sleep. It was sudden. She died. All alone. And now I'm here. 1 week later. Enjoying a pumpkin spice latte while my sister starts to rot in the ground. My heart shudders as she speaks the word rot. So yeah, I get what you mean. There are no right choices. Every moment without her feels wrong. I feel like a stranger in my own life. I'd never say anything like that, especially to someone I've just met. But I spoke without hesitating. And now I'm regretting every word. I'm afraid that you think I'm a freak. No, it's horrible, but everything you said makes perfect sense. I don't want to tell her anything else. I don't want her to know that my heart doesn't feel like it did before. Lucia gives me a look that cuts deep. This girl is staring into me, looking for hope. I reach out, squeeze her hand, but the comfort is forced. I don't know how to tell her that I'm broken too. She doesn't deserve the whiplash of false hope. I don't want to see her bite that apple. I don't want to watch it turn to bitter ash on her tongue. I pull my hand away and break the silence. Can I put my number in your phone? Lucia straightens her posture and reaches for her bag. Sure. She unlocks her phone and hands it over. carefully type my information into the new contact menu, making sure I leave no mistakes. I know it's a cliche, but you can call me anytime. I don't care why either. It doesn't have to be an emergency. She nods and stashes her cell phone back into her bag. Thank you. I still have questions if you're willing. I feel an acidic hesitation burning in my throat. I'm not sure if I'm the person you should be around right now. I think you're wrong. I don't think I am. I tried talking to other people dealing with loss and it didn't help. Sometimes I wonder if the opposite would have been better. Maybe you need to surround yourself with people who don't get it. How would that help? Maybe you'll convince yourself that you're just like them. Fake it till you make it, but the grief counseling version. Look, I get it if you don't want to talk about grief, but I don't need kid gloves. She points to my lap. I want to hear the L that's in that notebook. I know you've already let me listen to her. When? The poetry. Grief that falls like sudden rain on a cloudless day. I'll bet you $20 that's written in there. As much as I wouldn't mind paying for the meal, I won't bet against her. I know she's right, and she knows it too. I push aside my uncertainty. It's not like you have to see her again. If answers freak her out, it was her choice to insist on them. But I find myself imagining her in my future. Where she fits in, I'm not sure. But I'm certain that I want to see her again. Okay, I'll bite. Finally. First, you have to make me a promise. What kind of promise? When we go our separate ways, you have to text me after. Even if it's to say bye forever. Okay? I promise that I'll text you. I wink at Lucia playfully. Ask me anything. I'm an open book. She grins at the notebook pun. Okay, let's start weird. Was your dad's service an open casket? Yep. Did he look himself? They never do. I hadn't seen a body before Kate's service. I don't know what I expected a dead person to look like, but it wasn't that. Looking at her made me feel sick. Or maybe I was afraid. I couldn't believe it was her. Like, she looked like a doll. Like a weird imitation of Kate. Even when I wasn't staring at her, I knew exactly where she was. I couldn't tear my mind away from the image. She definitely didn't look like she was sleeping. She looked dead. I could barely focus on the service. She was all I saw. It's awful, but I can't really remember what anyone said to me that day. The eulogies are a blur. I pursed my lips. How did no one notice how she felt about seeing her dead sister? Why didn't anyone help her? I'm sorry nobody warned you before the funeral. I'm sorry that no one saw what you were dealing with during that either. You needed support, and you deserved it. Thanks. Having a viewing isn't right for everyone. Please don't worry. It's okay to be freaked out. You're not the first to feel that way. Trust me. There's a term for it. Seriously? Yeah, it's called Uncanny Valley. When you look at someone you've seen animated with life and see that emptiness, that absolute absence of energy, it's different for everyone, but you're not going to like it. I'm sorry you saw Kate that way. You deserve the option not to. Lucia frowned sharply. You're right. No one asked me if I wanted an open casket. My parents did all the planning. I just showed up. My mom did the opposite. She dragged me to every moment of planning. Choosing Dad's casket. It's burned into my memory. There's no winning when you don't get a choice. We both deserve to make our own decisions. Lucia nods as her expression softens. After the funeral, I kept pulling a photo of Kate out of my wallet. I couldn't help but stare and cry. I was doing whatever I could to remember her the way she was instead of the shell I saw her that day. I like to think that focusing on her smile helped. She sits back in her chair and motions towards her bag. Would you like to see it? Shh. Yes. Sure. Lucia carefully places a small photograph on the table between us. I sit forward and peer down, bracing myself. Instantly, I feel my heart shudder out of rhythm as I take in the smiling image of a girl my own age. She was so young. I look back to Lucia and try to keep my response simple. Your sister had a beautiful smile. She nods in agreement. I took the photo when we were gardening together last summer. Weeding my grandma's garden was always a pain, but Kate did the best to make me smile whenever she could. She spent more time gathering up bouquets than actually pulling weeds. I didn't mind though. Chores weren't so bad when she was around to help. I think Kate smiled every day of her life. I'll miss that the most. She was a bright light. That's why I always wanted to be like my big sister. Lucia reaches over and takes the photo, tucking it away carefully in her wallet. Elle, please don't feel pressure. I get it. If you can't share anymore, I know that I'm not entitled to your pain or experiences, but I'd be lying if I said that I didn't want to hear them. Can I ask another question? Yes. Go for it. Lucia's lips quiver as her amber eyes betray a sliver of anxiety. You sure? Please, I want to help. She swallows audibly. Do you ever feel like he's watching you? An old weight descends and perches on my shoulders. The hovering of familiar eyes. A specter I thought I'd left in the past. I shrug it away with this practiced breath. In the first few weeks after he died. Yeah. Quite often. That goes away fast, I think. You don't remember? I can't tell her how I yelled at nothingness in the days before Dad's funeral. How I ordered him away for my own comfort. But I didn't want him to visit. Ever. I needed to live without his ghostly gaze. That stays between us. Simplicity is best. It goes away. Or you just decide that you don't care what they see. A hint of blush touches her cheek. It better go away. I felt weird showering today. I couldn't stop picturing her standing on the other side of the curtain waiting. It's eerie. I feel like I'm going crazy. I promise you're not crazy. I've been there. How did you do it? What? Cope. How did I cope? That's an impossible question. Honestly, that's an answer I'm still searching for. You must have tried something. Oh, Lucia. I tried plenty. I decided to turn the question back toward her. What have you tried in the first week? My hair, I guess. It wasn't this color last week. I had the appointment before Kate died, and she booked it for me. I couldn't bring myself to cancel it, so I went to her funeral like this. There's a hint of regret in her voice. There's nothing wrong with fashion colors. Maybe from your perspective. I thought it would make me happy, but it didn't work. I remember when I felt that way too. When I thought that a haircut or a tattoo would spill some color into the gray haze. I regret not rescheduling at least. My cousin implied that I was trying to steal Kate's spotlight. Some of Kate's friends did too. Spotlight? What a poor choice of words. That wasn't fair of them to say. But it was. I did that when she was alive. She's... Kate was my best friend and my worst enemy. I got so jealous of her constantly. The worst part was Kate knew it. She always did her best to reassure me that I was pretty popular too. It didn't matter what was bothering me. She would zero in on it and try to fix things. Kate would be too kind. It was disarming and infuriating. And as much as she bugged me, I would do anything to get that back. I want her to make it better. I need to know what to do with all of this. I'm overflowing with feelings towards her, and there's no resolution. I can't work it out with her. Every chance slipped away in an instant. There's no outlet for this ocean of pain, and it hurts. I wanted to stop just for a second. I want to break. I can't give you a break. No one can. I know. I raised my hand to stop her. Wait, I wasn't done. I can't give you a break, but when things get too stormy, I can give you. I can be your anchor. Oh. I can be your anchor. I wait, half expecting her to burst into laughter over the lame sentiment. Or maybe she'll pity me and say thanks as quickly as possible. Her eyes grew wide in disbelief. Why? You don't even know me. I think I know you better than you want me to. I know the questions in your head. I've lived them. Lucia freezes. Maybe that scares you? I feel like you know me too. And it's uncomfortable. It fills me with insecurities I didn't even know I had. But I want to see you again. I want to meet the pieces of you. I mean, I don't know what your favorite color or hobbies, but I want to. She doesn't respond. That's the long-winded version of why I'll be there if you call. If you want me. If you want to see me again. Lucia finally emerges from her silence. I do. But if you're going to know my story, I need to hear more of yours. I can tell you're censoring it. I'm not blind either. When I asked about that Halloween party, you froze up. I saw it. Something stole you from our conversation for just a second. You don't need to hide that from me. If I'm going to be vulnerable, can't you be too? I promise I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going anywhere. Will you tell me what happened to you? Yes. Yes. But if you have questions, wait until I'm finished. Lucia nods in agreement. Okay, I can do that. Fair warning, it's a long and messy story. If it's too much to hear right now, please stop me. I will if I need to. Alright. I swallow, but the lump in my throat remains. It's an uncomfortable ache. Until today, I hadn't felt that for months. Maybe even years. It's better than feeling right. It's better than feeling nothing, right? I turn my attention back to Lucia. I'm gonna think out loud here. If I come off erratic, that's why. Honestly, I'm ashamed of myself. And that's not typical. I've hated myself. I felt angry, lonely, and stupid. But never ashamed. There's no one around that I cared even enough about to feel shame. When you started asking questions, you made me reflect for the first time in a while. Despite my declaration of honesty, I can't help but hold back. Vulnerability is not my thing. It's exactly why therapy has always been a struggle. I decided to borrow my attitude I'd fought so hard to leave behind. Fuck it. Here was nothing. 4 years ago, I went to a Halloween party. Lucia's eyebrows raised quickly as expected. I was home from college that weekend. I was so excited to get together with my old friends. We'd all gone to different schools, so it was something we'd been planning for a while. We all dressed up together before the crowd arrived. It started out pretty innocently. But a ton of people showed up, and the party got kind of crazy. My friend was hosting, and she didn't mind, luckily. Originally, I planned to stay the night, but I ended up drinking way too much, and I needed to go home early. My boyfriend stayed on campus that weekend, so he couldn't give me a ride. I called my dad after midnight, and he agreed to come pick me up. He wasn't mad or anything. He was glad that I called when I needed him. I was just having fun and overindulged. He understood. My dad was driving to my friend's place when a teenager in a truck blew through a stop sign and T-boned him. When the emergency services arrived, my dad was still awake. He didn't make it to the hospital. I wait, trying to gauge Lucia's response. She seems okay. I'll keep going. The kid that caused the accident walked away with superficial scratches. He was lucky in that regard. Mentally, he was traumatized. I don't have any ill will towards him anymore. He did his best to make amends with my family. Honestly, I hope he can live a normal life. One mistake shouldn't haunt him forever. After my dad died, things with my mom went downhill pretty quickly. I left school to stay home with her. It didn't feel right to leave her alone. Things fizzled out with my boyfriend because of the distance, so I was dealing with my stuff too. I tried to be there for my mom, but nothing worked. When I spoke with her, she made me feel like I didn't exist. And when I tried to tell her about my feelings, she shut me down. She treated suffering like a competition. She'd say that he was just my dad. She'd rant on about how we're meant to lose our parents. That he was her husband and her pain would never end. I barely recognized her. There was even a time when I thought she might kill herself. I didn't know what to do. I was practically still a teenager. I catched myself holding back, but pushed through. It was fucking scary. Lucia purses her lips and nods solemnly. Her eyes speak as sincere and I'm so sorry as she possibly can. But she stays true to her word and doesn't interrupt, sensing that my story is incomplete. Without much of an explanation, she suddenly went on a vacation and never really came back. She moved to the West Coast and got a fresh start. I grit my teeth, forcing myself to say what I'd only ever felt before. My mom said that I was always welcome to join her. But I know she only offered because she knew I'd refuse to move. She knew that I wouldn't follow her. Eventually, she ended up hating my dad. I think it was her way of coping. Their marriage wasn't perfect, but she clung to everything that was wrong. He was a shift worker, always rotating days from days to nights. It meant that he didn't get to spend as much time with us as he would have liked, but it paid for my mom's lifestyle. She always had new cars and I'm sorry. She always had new clothes, a nice car, or whatever she asked him for. I know he loved her. He used gifts to try to make up for his schedule. My mom doesn't seem to remember that side of him. I guess it's easier to hate someone rather than to mourn them. She never fails to shit talk him when we're on the phone. In her eyes, her new boyfriend is perfect, and my dad was human garbage. I can't stand to listen to her for too long, so I keep our calls short and spaced out. My therapist calls it creating boundaries. It feels like giving up, though, because in the end, my mom got what she wanted. My mom's goal was to get rid of me, and she won. Call it a mental breakdown, midlife crisis, or whatever you want. There's something I've never been able to shake off, even years later. As I fight to utter them, the words try to escape me. They're unspeakable thoughts. The seer looks at me questioning, and I nod. Elle, you're safe with me. Please. You can say it. I exhale. Every day I wake up and think, I want to go home. But I can't. That part of my life, that door is locked. I shake my head, disagreeing with my statement. No, that's not it. I want to go home. But my mom burned the whole house down. When I think of that part of my life, it's like sifting through a pile of ashes. There's nothing left. I did stupid things, trying to numb the pain. I partied, slept around. I couldn't go a day without smoking. I was always reaching for painkillers too. I think I convinced myself they'd quiet the throbbing in my head. House parties were too close to losing him, so I went to nightclubs instead. I remember dancing in the middle of a neon crowd, feeling more alone than I'd ever thought possible. I was surrounded by people smiling and partying, but there was no happiness. I realized no one was looking for me. I was screaming for help and no one could hear me. My dad was dead. My mom had a new life. I was completely alone. Those choices were my own, but they were choices my parents would have protected me from. There were days when I laid in bed and couldn't pull the blankets off. All I could do was reach for a bottle. My own existence was too heavy. It was crushing. I got lucky in the end. My doctor probably saved my life. His office called for an annual checkup, and instead of canceling, I felt compelled to go. I didn't tell him much, but he saw the signs and pushed me into treatment. You see, I'm not the kind of person you should be around. I'm not good. My mom, warm tears spilled down my frigid cheeks like spring rain on forgotten snow. My throat constricts, threatening to choke my words into silence. I don't know what I did. I don't know why she left. I don't know why she stopped loving me. Linnea reaches across the table and squeezes my hand. As her fingertips brush across my skin, my shoulders drop. How did she do that? She has such a subtle presence. The smallest gesture feels like she's wrapped me in a fuzzy blanket. Why? Why do I feel safe telling you this? Linnea's expression softens as she pulls her hand away. Maybe this wasn't an accidental connection. I hastily wipe away the tears with my sleeve, doing my best to compose myself. What do you mean? I never planned to visit the cemetery. My sister wasn't the reason I pulled over. It was because of you. The universe put you there and pulled me in like a magnet. I was sent to find you. We were meant to meet. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. When I visited his grave, I nearly left as soon as I got there. I felt stupid for thinking that a visit could help me find closure. I was going to leave, but I felt a pull. So I sat down and stayed. A magnetism. That could have been the allergy meds, though. They are prescribed by my doctor for anxiety. I took more than I'm supposed to. Linnea stiffens. I know, it's wrong. I'm not perfect. I'm an idiot. Honestly, I promise I won't do it again. But if I hadn't, we probably wouldn't have met. She nods sympathetically. That's something to talk to your doctor about, Elle. Or a mental health professional. Please be careful. Kate took her meds properly, and it still had unexpected consequences. Make an appointment when you get home. I nod in agreement. I will. Good. I'll hold you to it. She sticks out her tongue playfully. Book that, and our next cheesecake date is on me. Another date? Maybe she is my type. It's a deal. Great. Also, I want to make a point. I don't think anxiety meds are why we met. I have to argue fate's case. I think there was a sign that we were meant to find each other. I couldn't see it until now. What sign? The bouquet of blue roses for Kate. They weren't there during her burial. Someone dropped them off afterward. I don't follow. Well, the thing about blue roses is they're not a typical flower to leave at a grave all on their own. Usually you have an arrangement with all kinds of accents. Roses weren't something Kate liked either. But there's a local tradition behind blue roses. No one really remembers this kind of stuff anymore, except for florists in the region. It's a lost tradition. What's the tradition? In folklore, children would leave a single blue rose at the grave of their father. Blue roses became particularly popular because they weren't naturally occurring. The gesture symbolizes peace or serenity, depending on who you ask. My grandfather always told me that leaving a blue rose would help his father's spirit move on. Otherwise, they'd cling to this world to watch over their children. It grants the deceased an acceptance of their passing and allows their children to grieve. I'm certain that I was meant to find that rose. Your dad was meant to have it. Lucia's words at his graveside echo through my words. I do have an idea. If you want to leave him something meaningful. So that's what you meant. It seems like more of a coincidence than anything. Still, I'm left with questions. I don't get your meaning. Why do you think the rose was faithful? It seems like someone dropped them off after Kate's service, that's all. I think you're wrong. Fate put those roses there for a reason, regardless of who brought them. You were meant to take part in that tradition for him. I feel frustration ebb into my voice. Yeah, but why? Why it was the question that always haunted me. Why did my dad have to die? Why did my mom leave? Why was everything familiar gone in an instant? Lucia smiles, patience beyond her years, so as if she's waiting for my realization. Why? Because your dad doesn't need to worry about you being alone anymore. I'm here now. I fumble, racing to organize my thoughts. Do you really mean that? That Rose was waiting for us. He deserves to be at peace. You're not alone anymore. I'm not going anywhere. If you want me around. My tears threaten to overflow, but I crane my neck backwards to stop them. Deep breath in, deep breath out. When I look back to her, I can only bear to whisper my answer. I want you to stay. I will. For the first time since my dad died, I feel a bond. A new connection. I don't want to lose her. You keep your promise, right? What did I promise? I grin at her. To text me. Once you drop me off. Lucia reaches for her phone and begins to tap away at the screen. Is she texting me right now? She gasps suddenly. Oh shoot! We need to go soon. It's getting pretty late. If we stay much longer, you're going to miss your trick-or-treaters. You got that date with your leftover candy, too. As much as I don't want to leave quite yet, I don't want to keep Lucia too late. We'd better go. I don't need kids egging my place. Plus, I don't want you missing that party. I think I'll skip out. It's been an interesting day. Well, I hope you find that energy to go out. Halloween is my favorite holiday. Mine too. And don't worry, I'm going to send you pictures of my costume. I'm sure you'll love them. I can't help but bite it at my lip. Looking forward to it. Zia waves towards the waitress. Can we get the bill, please? I'll get that right away. The waitress glances towards our untouched plates. I'm sorry, was there anything wrong with the cheesecake? No. We're in a bit of a rush, that's all. Could we get takeout boxes, please? Of course. Thanks for coming. Happy Halloween. With the bill paid, we cross the street and head to Lucia's car. I focus on giving Lucia directions to my neighborhood. I can't help but feel eager to get a box of Halloween decorations dusted off and onto my doorstep. I'm at number 235. Right there? Right here? Yeah, that's my place. Lucia pulls over and parks the car. As the engine switches off, I can't help but wonder what she's up to. I thought she'd just drop me off. Let me walk you to your door. You don't have to do that. She giggles softly. Of course I do. This place is crawling with monsters. Little superheroes, princesses, and ghouls begin to trickle out into the streets, passing by houses without porch lights. I hurry up the steps and unlock my door. As I turn the key, I feel Lucia's eyes on my back. What? No goodbye? I stick out my tongue. Don't act so worried. I'm not ditching you just yet. I look back and pop the door open, hit the light switch, and watch as the dim orange glow flickers on. It looks like you will get plenty of kids on the street. Oh yeah, I rarely have leftover candy. That's too bad. I would have liked to steal some. You're lucky then. Why is that? I have a stash just for myself, and I might be willing to share. Does that mean you'd have to make plans to see me again? I guess so. Lucia steps closer. I can smell the faint remnants of pumpkin espresso aroma swirling around her. Her gaze drifts downward from my eyes and traces my lips. I like that. Is she? Boo! An eruption of laughter echoes from across the street. A group of trick-or-treaters were trying to scare their friends. Lucia undressed the strap of her purse, clearly flustered. I've been thinking about our next date. I can't help but smile when she says date. You have? Yep. Maybe we could go with something casual. Coffee wasn't casual. I meant the topics. I love to know what your favorite music is, or what your childhood pets were like. I want to know more about you. My heartbeat quickens. I like where you're going with that. I could do simple. As long as you spill some details too. I want to hear all about your past. Ex-boyfriends, adventures, everything. Lucia begins to fidget again, this time with her necklace. Well, you won't have to worry about boyfriends. She seems anxious about their mission. That's a relief. No competition. I try to my best to make her laugh, but all I get is a grin. Worth it. Do you like horror movies? Yes? Although, I'm more into ghost stories. Slashers are my thing. Alright. Did you want to come over tomorrow night? We can eat candy and watch a haunted house film. Her eyes light up. I'd love to. Great. It's a plan. Although I do have one question for you. What is it? Should I expect flowers? Always. I guess I better buy a vase. Don't be silly. I can bring one. Lucia reaches into her purse and taps at her phone. It's getting late. I think I should head home. There is something else I wanted to say before you go. Okay. It's that if you do change your mind about us seeing each other again, it's okay. Why do you say that? Because meeting you was a blessing either way. You made me see myself so clearly. I used to think that I'd never made a step forward, that my grief hadn't changed. Today, you were a mirror into my past. I could finally see that I've been doing whatever I needed to do. I'm growing. So, blue roses and fade aside, you lost your sister this week. I'd rather you lean on me and not the other way around. I also want you to take as much time as you need before we see each other again. If you wake up tomorrow and can't get out of bed, that's natural. I'm not in a rush. I'll wait for when you're ready to spend time together. Put yourself first. Lucia nods. Thank you for saying that. But just so you know, you can't get out of our date that easily. I expect chocolate bars and lollipops tomorrow night, or you're in trouble. Good to know. I'll be ready. Lucia bites at her bottom lip absentmindedly. I'm glad that I found you today. I can't wait to get to know you better. Lucia inches closer to me. Good night, Elle. Oh. Lucia wraps her arms around me in a warm embrace. I think you're an amazing person. Thank you for today. Oh. I smile. No. Thank you. I'm glad that you found me, Lucia. I squeeze her tight. Good night. Wow. Definitely not what I was expecting. It was a little bit more intense than I thought it would be. But it was nice. Alright. Well, that's everything. Thank you for playing. Awesome. Oh, wait. Golden morning light trickles across my windowsill. What a beautiful sunrise. For the first time I can remember, I'm glad to see a new day. I snuggle under the covers to enjoy one last second of warmth. I sigh. Instead of angry words, anxious dreams, or dark cravings, there's only one thing on my mind. One person. I imagine her in the room with me. What would that be like? Maybe I'd make her pancakes? We could sit down for breakfast and chat the morning away. I'd bet she'd love a copy. The fantasy warms the forgotten ice in my heart. Despite being alone, I want to say it. Good morning, Sia. I'll see you soon. It's a promise to myself. One I intend to keep. Alright. Well, that's everything. That was fun. That was, different. Definitely different. Anyways. Oh. So, thank you guys so much for stopping by. This was like a little bit something different. We are doing a lot of different games right now. A lot of RPGs. We will definitely continue Dead Space tomorrow. So the plan for like the week. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Basically, from this point forward, we're gonna focus on Dead Space until the 21st. Yep. So even if we have like a longer stream, it's still gonna be Dead Space at least until we finish it. Hopefully we'll finish Dead Space in the next few days, because then the 21st is when Gotham Knights takes over, and Gotham Knights will take over until we're done. Gotham Knights will be 100% completion. So we'll start on the 21st with day one, stream Gotham Knights, and we'll play it however long it takes. If it takes all of November, I'm fine with that. We're not going to rush through it. We're going to take our time. We're going to maybe even 100%, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. And then we have a lot of games coming in November. I did make some announcements on Twitter or on the community tab, but if you didn't know, there are a few games that are coming to stream, which I am very excited for. So, these are the games that I've announced. So, obviously, returning is going to be The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, Baldur's Gate 2, and Kingdom Come. You guys know that already. And also Half-Life. I forgot to mention Half-Life, but Half-Life will come back. And then, in November 2022, I will introduce a few more games, which includes Fallout and Arx Fatalis. I have no idea what Arx Fatalis even is. I mean, I do know, but not really. I'm just interested in trying. So, and it looks like a game that I could actually play. So we're going to try it. And I hope that you guys are on board with that. I know nothing. I absolutely know nothing. So it is absolutely going to be blind. And I'm excited for it. So yes, Fallout is coming. And let me tell you guys, that is not the only game. Those are not the only games that are coming. I still have more that are coming either November, December. There's a lot of games that are coming in the near future, and I'm excited about them. So thank you guys so much for stopping by. I'm just guys in the future, and peace out, guys. It's been a blast. I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.